And we are ready, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry for the delay. I was in conversation with my family members. Let's go! Cohagen, Ozzy, Ogata. It's good to see everyone here today. So let's begin, shall we? Yo, peoples! Kyushu92 here, and welcome back to yet another One Piece chapter reaction and review. Vegapunk is dropping some knowledge, and the last thing he left us out on was basically telling everyone about the Void Century, or at least the existence of information about the Void Century, how it's punishable by death, and Joy Boy, ancient civilizations, how the world government doesn't want anyone else to know about it. And we also learned that Joy Boy and, Nika were two completely different people, but I think that was a chapter before. But we also learned that the person who was born in this age of the ancient civilization, whose name still escapes us, he was called Joy Boy, and he was also the first man to ever be called a pirate. How you leave us on a cliffhanger like that for a whole week? It makes one wonder. But let's begin with chapter 1115, Pieces of a Continent. I've been thinking about this next chapter for One Piece for so very long. This title alone is about to mess me up. It's already messing with my head. It's already messing with me. Chapter 1115, Pieces of a Continent. Ogre Child Yamato's Golden Harvest Surrogate Pilgrimage, Volume 5. Hiyori and Otoko and Toko are packing me a bento lunch. So Hiyori and Toko are making it's a pretty big bento lunch. Like, there's tons of fruits and meats and all sorts of different foods. And Toko is helping make a whole bunch of rice balls for Yamato's, travel pilgrimage across all of Wano. Walking the same path that Odin did. So, let's continue. Woo! We're cutting to Wano! We're cutting to Wano. Flower capital, Wano. I can't believe this gets signals from abroad.
But as for why he was called a pirate,
Orochi had it in the castle. Oh, this is Momonosuke speaking with Kinemon. So Joy Boy was a pirate. He sounds just like Luffy. You've heard of him, my lord. And it shows Shinobu and Tama, and they're all there, listening in while they're also eating some kibidongos. Then we cut to the brig of Naval Base G4. What? The brig of Naval Base G4. Joy Boy, I don't believe he's stronger than our captain, right, Captain Kid? Leave the guy alone. He's already dead. That's the captain we love and admire. Kid's the most generous guy around. There's no way that I'm weaker than Joy Boy. Former fake Luffy Damalo Black. So he's gone from trying to fake being Luffy to being a fake Captain Kid. He even spiked Damalo Black is like the worst impersonator out of every single person in One Piece. Luffy wearing sunglasses and a fake beard is a better disguise than Damalo Black, because all of his crew is trying to look like different members of Kid's crew. Eustace Captain Kid's crew. They really got it in their heads. That they're trying to impersonate Kid's crew. Here's the difference between Luffy, him impersonating Luffy, and him impersonating Kid. Luffy, he knows he's Luffy, so he doesn't care. You're not going to pull it off. However, Eustace Captain Kid is a different person altogether. A person that does not have any qualms about killing another person. So, Damalo Black, you are so dumb. You are so dumb. If Kid finds out that you're trying to impersonate him, I mean, I'm pretty sure it failed because they're in jail. But if Kid ever finds out that Damalo Black is trying to impersonate him in order to, gain notoriety using Kid's name, Eustace is gonna kill him. But then we cut back to Egghead.
But as for why he was called a pirate, I have only read from a handful of poneglyphs. But what I found there was the record of a breathtakingly vast war. Joy Boy's enemy was the world government of the present day.
And that's when all the Navy is hearing this. Wait, is that us?
If he was a pirate, that checks out.
And then it cuts to Warcury in his boar form. He is still trying to go after Luffy, Dorian Broggy as he screams,
Vegapunk! More accurately, it was the precursor to the world government, a provisional army put together by 20 kingdoms known as the Alliance.
We are getting history! And then we cut to another area. Oh, ain't no way. Okay. It shows Mars, and he's walking through the lab, and he's just constantly emitting Conqueror's Haki to knock out every snail around him. Okay, so we got we just have a confirmation of another member of the Gorosei who has Conqueror's Haki. Warcury showed it with his Conqueror's Haki roar, and now we have Mars walking through a section of the lab using Conquerors to knock out every single transponder snail he's walking past. And then Vegapunk continues.
You might say they had no other choice. So robust was Joy Boy's faction.
And it shows the individual known as Joy Boy in the same type of position Luffy's in when he's in Gear 5, facing against this provisional army of 20 kingdoms, facing off against the Alliance.
Without knowing the spark that caused the war, I won't say who was right or wrong. I'll simply state that two competing ideologies came head to head. As I mentioned earlier, for its time 900 years ago, the country of Joy Boy's birth.
And then it's even cutting to Zoe, in the New World. Another individual that was forced to walk throughout the earth because of their crime and because of their association with Joy Boy.
As I mentioned earlier, for its time 900 years ago, the country of Joy Boy's birth was a startling advanced civilization.
And we cut to Zoe as, Carrot, Wanda, Shishilian, and all the other members of the Musketeers and the Minks are listening in. And they're shocked. And remember, Carrot is the new leader she's the new king of the Mokomo Dukedom.
And the weapons that were used over the course of this 100-year conflict appear to be impossible to recreate with the latest of modern science.
And then Carrot goes,
"That's amazing!"
And then we have someone going, Bruh, Foxy? Bruh, what you mean? Oda's bringing everybody back! What do you mean? He's bringing everybody back? He's bringing back everybody!
What nonsense is this? He's talking peanuts.
And then we have, well, dang, I forgot her name.
Boss, I'm starving!
Even I, a humble genius, cannot replicate them.
What's he bragging at?
What's he bragging about?
Po.
And therein lies the problem.
Then we cut to the Labo phase, and we get a bit. Gotcha. And it's Stussy. And it's someone going,
Stussy!
huh?
It's me!
Edison. And Kaku's listening in too.
Lower the barrier and run for safety!
What? I can't. If anything happens to the Straw Hats before they can leave. And then it's Edison going,
honestly, there ain't much point to the barrier anymore. If it can't stop these guys from getting past it,
because it shows that Saturn has made his way on into the lab as well.
I've done all I can to help the Straw Hats make their escape. They can make it. They can take it from here.
And it cuts to Jinbei, who's still running with Zoro.
Are you on your way, Jinbei?
Sorry, almost there.
Don't apologize, Jinbei. We were...
Was that you I heard saying something, Zoro?
Oh, wait, this is Nami.
Are you on your way, Jinbei?
Sorry, almost there.
Don't apologize, Jinbei. We were...
Was that you I heard saying something, Zoro? I'm gonna smack you after this.
Ugh.
Hurry! More ships are gathering around the northeast coast. We don't want to land on the water only to get bombarded to bits.
Then it cuts to Sussy.
That's a relief. Stella would be so upset with me if I didn't help them get away.
Nah, he wouldn't. Now get out of there.
But I don't know what to do.
Huh?
Without Stella around anymore, who do I live for?
And this shocks Edison, and even Kaku is listening in. And then it cuts to Bonnie, and she's helping the Giants try and beat up on Venus Judo.
Don't let him use that katana. The old geezer can cut through anything.
And then we get someone going, bioresponse detected. And bioresponse detected. And a sea beast weapon tries to come up and blast it. I think this is a beast. No, he's slicing more giants. Never mind. I thought it was a sea beast weapon, but the mouthpiece looked weird to me. But he's slicing another giant. And even Sanji got knocked to the ground. But he goes after Bonnie going, Bonnie, as he prepares to slice her, and then Bonnie, look out, Bonnie! Yeah! As Frankie comes in and pulls her away. Mind you, Bonnie is still in an enlarged state, so Frankie, in comparison to her size, as he, safely clotheslines her, he's small compared to her. But then Bonnie changes into her child form as the slice of Venus Judo. Ethan Barron, mind you, Venus Judo, not only goes through the figurehead of the ship, but the line cuts through many masts of the ship as well. Not to the point where it's impossible for them to set sail, but the sheer force of this slash goes across the entire giant ship. And then it cuts to Frankie, who notices that Bonnie has turned into a child again. Huh?
Can't hold that future form for long.
And Bonnie is apparently tired. Then we cut back to Vegapunk.
The Void Sentry came to a close with the defeat of Joy Boy.
As it shows the giant, the Iron Giant, and Zunisha. And then it cuts to Ethan Barron, where he just leaps into the air as he goes, How long must you jabber on, Vegapunk? And then one of the giants goes, Where's he going? And Ethan Barron jumps into the air, and I guess he's thinking, obnoxious bioresponse. And then it just shows Ethan Barron has jumped all the way up into the clouds, okay?
But not before leaving vast permanent scars of war across the face of the world.
And then it shows Ethan Barron I'm glad I got this chair. It shows Ethan Barron slicing through the entire cloud of the Labo phase and everything in it. So you know how Law sliced the entire mountain range back in Punk Hazard? Ethan Barron jumps into the air and does the exact same thing, except it's not the power, it's just his strength that's doing that. See, with Law, he basically cast a room and then he could just slice whatever he wanted. But Ethan Barron, with his just sheer strength, cuts the entire cloud of the Labo phase in half. And and all of the CP Cypherpole agents that were imprisoned, they are suddenly freed, but not before they realize that since the whole area has been sliced, they start falling towards the ground because Ethan Baron just pretty much destroyed the upper half of the clouds. And they just start falling towards the ground, including the Seraphim, who are still sealed inside of those bubble shields.
The world is made up of a series of islands. Sailing between them is difficult, and many people never experienced anything but their own culture at home.
And then people are listening in. Yeah, duh. Everyone knows the sea is dangerous.
But this shared understanding of the world does not necessarily apply to the world of 1,000 years ago.
And it cuts back to Zoro's hometown, including his master. Including his master as well.
But this shared understanding of the world does not necessarily apply to the world of 1,000 years ago, because a cataclysm occurred during the Void Century, causing the world to sink once before. We are currently living on the pieces of a continent that existed long ago.
And it shows underwater that there's an entire underwater civilization. Oda, is Oda about to reveal the name? Is he about to reveal the name of the civilization?
Causing the world to sink once before. We are currently living on the pieces of a continent that existed long ago.
And it shows like this entire ruins underwater, which just makes me think, okay, so this is the water levels of One Piece means that the world had less ocean. And this information shocks literally every single one of the revolutionaries, except for Dragon. And Sabo is just listening in, like, Ivankov is all like,
The world of a millennium ago now slumbers unseen at the bottom of the sea. In fact, one can assume that in the past there were a number of continents we know nothing about.
And we cut back to Cocoa Village. I incorrectly called it Orange Village in one of my previous anime reactions. But this is Cocoa Village, and everyone's listening in. This is all so wild! Where are you going, Nojiko? The world's in danger.
Yeah, you can tell me about it later. I'm going to check on a tangerine grows.
Nojiko! And then it cuts back to Vegapunk again.
If the world were still the same as it was in the past, then the act of erasing 100 years of history would be simply unthinkable and impossible. However, it makes much more sense when you understand that the rise in sea level over that century was 200 meters.
That's a lot. Hold on. 200 meters over the past century? Hold on. How much is 200 meters? I'm going to use American. 656 feet. That's how much the water has rose over the century. 656 feet. 200 meters. Wow, and this shocks every single naval officer who's still at Egghead. What? 200 meters? These gigantic battleships are only 60 meters long. No wonder the whole world vanished. Hey, don't get distracted by the story. Cypherpole and the Seraphim came falling down to ground level. We gotta rescue them. And then we cut back to... Where is this at? This looks like Mocktown. Did you hear that? This man's still lying. The old coot's cracking me up. No way any of that is true. So of course, in Mocktown, they're not believing anybody. Then we cut to the Cherry Blossom Kingdom, Chopper's homeland, and we get Dalton, and we get some Lapons, and we get... How does such a thing happen?
There's still so much to learn about the world.
Dr. Correa! Oda, you are really pulling out the stops for this chapter. So many people I haven't seen in so long. Foxy? Dr. Correa? Like all of these people. And then we cut back to what was it? Oh man, not Drum Island. What was it? Whiskey Peak. We cut back to Whiskey Peak. That mountain over there is just about 200 meters tall. Wait a minute. Is that Ms. What is her name? What is this? Not Ms. Wednesday? Is that Ms. Wednesday? I think that's Miss Wednesday. She's the little girl that was part of Baroque Works. I remember her. I haven't seen her in a minute. The fact that they pulled out a member of Baroque Works who, for all intents and purposes, was probably one of the few people to not get apprehended. That mountain over there is just about 200 meters tall.
Imagine the sea rising that high. It sounds like heck. How many people must have died?
And then it cuts to Miss, I forget her name. I think it's Miss Wednesday. Miss Wednesday walking past all these people just eating some food. And then we cut to Vegapunk still speaking still speaking, and we're cutting to Galley Law Company.
As for what?
Is in this Water 7.
As for why the sea level rose so much during that century, it would be natural to assume the work of a sudden natural disaster. But I can state for a fact that this was a man-made disaster.
And then Morgans is just beside himself going, "That's just crazy!" And then Morgans is silenced by Vivi, like she's holding his beak closed. She's all like, "Shut up!" Then Vegapunk continues.
If such a cataclysm were caused by natural forces, then the initial disaster would have spanned several centuries and inflicted slow but continual damage upon the world. But by any measurement, climatology, geology, environmental and atmosphere science, this dramatic shift could not have happened within a single century. So the cause is something else. And when I detected the rise in worldwide sea levels the other day, I had my answer. I knew the cause and confirmed its existence. The ancient weapons that sank the world into the sea 800 years ago still exist today and await the moment that they stir once again. In other words, the vast war that arose during the Void Century never came to an end.
And it shows Im. In his flower garden with all the butterflies, and he's slightly growling to himself. That's the end of the chapter. To be continued. Miss Valentine, Miss Golden Week, and Miss Merry Christmas. Miss Golden Week, thank you so much for correcting me. Thank you. This is a lot to unpack. This is a lot to unpack, everybody. Wow. So the amount... Okay, let me just see what you guys have said. Phony Straw Hats are now phony Kid Pirates, and that's why I was teased by my friends who read One Piece from 12 p.m. to 16 p.m., 4 hours. My poor baby boy is already dying and drowning, and he can't even do that in peace. Kid will slaughter them. Yep. For the love of God, stop, Damalo Black, please stop. No, let him continue. Natural selection will take its course when Kid finds out about him. Just let him continue. Oh no, Foxy. Yeah, I know, Cohagen, it's Foxy. Remember the Davy Back fight? Yeah, that's your friend. Porsche, that's her name. Foxy and Porsche. Hate him almost as much as Buggy made in China Yonko the Clown. Oh, the insignificant, unattractive Portia. Portia, Bonnie, Ozzy. I learned my lesson a while ago. He's a skeleton horse. He's very light. Nusjuro is something else. Yes, he is. Only because Bonnie is a little girl. Otherwise, she's... looks like those Waterworld theories were true. I didn't even know about any Waterworld theories of it. But yeah, ignorance truly is bliss. And the people of Mocktown is the epitome of ignorance. They're like the people who laughed at Noah while he was building the ark. Look how that turned out for them. Didn't turn out well. 441-year-old woman returns. Miss Golden Week, thank you. All we need now is to see Gaiman. Yeah, Gaiman's gonna have Gaiman and Sarfunkel are gonna have a bit tough time getting to higher ground. Because I'm pretty sure there's nowhere on the island that they're on is hundreds of meters tall that can keep them safe. We finally got a sight of Joy Boy's silhouette, just a silhouette, but it's still interesting. Yeah, and it's basically in the same exact pose as Luffy whenever he is in Gear 5. So Joy Boy fought the Alliance, the 20 kingdoms that would later become the world government. And they were known as the Alliance. And he came from this ancient civilization from all this time ago. This is so much to take in. Also, just another confirmation. Sarfunkel and Gaiman will be fine. Neil, it's good to see you. Barrels and wood boxes float. That's true, but I kind of don't want anything bad to happen to them in general, because they're kind of at a disadvantage when it comes to traveling places, quickly. So I really hope that they end up being okay, but we'll see. Someone said something to me about Joy Boy. I mean, the way I see it, as long as pirates and piracy still exist, Joy Boy is still alive in spirit as long as pirates exist. 20 kingdoms had to team up just to take down one dude, which is Joy Boy. Think about that for a second. The 20 kingdoms had to ally together in order to bring down one person. Mind you, he was more than likely using the most ridiculous power in the world. The Hito Hito no Mi model Nika. But the fact that it took 20 kingdoms to bring that had to join together in an alliance to bring them down. You know what I think that is? Oh, I just got an idea. So you know how all of the kingdoms pledged to never try and take the throne and rule over the world? I think part of that reason why they all decided to join alliance with each other and form the world government was strictly because of their fight with Joy Boy. Because who knows, they could have been, at each other's throats, but they found a common enemy in Joy Boy and decided to ally with each other. And after the Titanic battle, I'm guessing the Titanic battle with Joy Boy, they decided, you know what we have going on as an alliance, let's keep that going, and then later form the world government. I'm just spitballing an idea here, but went 3 days without power and my phone was dead for 3 days. I had to buy a wireless charger to bring it back to life. Besides that, I made out just fine. I'm happy that you made out just fine, Ozzy. It's good to have you back once again. It's good to have CD's back as well because he had to deal with a power situation too. But it's good to see all of you. And Joy Boy was a pirate, and Nico and his crewmate was them Gorosei, named after the planet. They could be the... Are you trying to say one that betrayed Joy Boy? If you're talking about Nika is definitely... if you're trying to say Nika and his crewmate was Ngorosei, can't get behind that idea. Simply because Nika was basically a god worshipped to be, like a symbol of freedom and liberation. So I highly doubt it would be that way. I like to think the alliance and the world government, when it was first formed, was pure and had good intentions. Then as time went on, the corruption from within got worse and eventually took over. Another interesting too, also in question, is that how did all these three ancient weapons cause the flood? There are so many questions that are coming from this entire chapter. So much revealed from Vegapunk. Mind you, what I was thinking Oda was going to do was he was going to reveal the name of this ancient civilization, but we didn't get that. But what we did get was apparently the world as we know it, currently living on the pieces of a continent that existed long ago. So every island that everyone is living on used to be part of a continent. What are the odds that this continent was called Pangea? What are the odds? Because Oda likes to do his wordplay, likes to mess with wordplay, but what are the odds that this continent used to be called Pangea? That's always been in my mind. What are the odds? They were jealous of Joy Boy, kind of like the people of Black Wall Street, and I'll leave it at that. Yeah, I can see it. So let me do this. I want to look this up, because there's so much to gather from this. I want to see if they got a synopsis up of it. All right, so long summary. Long summary. In the Flower Capital, the people of Wano are listening to Dr. Vegapunk's message, having found a Denden Mushi among Orochi's possessions. Momonosuke is surprised to learn that Joy Boy was a pirate just like Luffy, and Kinemon asks him if he knows what the scientist is talking about. Elsewhere, at the G4 Marine Base, the fake Straw Hat crew, now impersonating the Kid Pirates, who are imprisoned, are talking about how Kid could easily take Joy Boy considering that he is dead now. Dr. Vegapunk's message continues, as he reveals he only deciphered a handful of poneglyphs, but from them he was able to ascertain that they tell the history of a great war in the ancient past. Hold on, let me get chat over here, so I can see what you guys are saying. Tell the history of a great war in the ancient past. During that time, Joy Boy fought against the founders of the world government, which back then were simply known as the Allied Powers, or the Alliance if you're going by Viz. Made up of 20 separate kingdoms. As he speaks, Mars starts using his Conqueror's Haki to incapacitate the various Denden Mushi inside the lab to stop the broadcast, but it continues to play. Dr. Vegapunk says that the alliance these kingdoms formed was the only way they could oppose Joy Boy and the faction to which he belonged. So it's like a whole faction that was right. This suits you. I'm sorry. So this whole faction that allied with Joy Boy, I want to know more about it. However, he does not know why this conflict happened, nor does he side with either of the combatants. But what he does know was that the war was a clash of two different ideologies. He then brings back up the kingdom Joy Boy lived in and how advanced it was, saying that the weapons it created during that conflict are beyond his ability to replicate, which is where the problems lay. Within the Labo phase, Edison contacts Sussy and tells her to lower the Frontier Dome's barrier and escape. She refuses because she still needs to help the Straw Hats escape, but Edison tells her it's useless against the Five Elders, and in any case, they've done all they can for the crew. Speaking of, Jinbei is still heading for the ship carrying Zoro, the former apologizing to Nami for taking so long. She informs them to hurry up because the marine ships are starting to blockade the northeast coast. Stussy is relieved to hear they have a chance to make it out as Edison demands she flees. But Stussy tells Edison now that Stella is dead, she feels she has no purpose anymore. I'm pretty sure she'll find one. At the coast, Nosjuro breaks free of the giant's grip and tries to cut down the giant Bonnie, but Frankie gets her out of the way of his slash attack that cuts off the ship's helm, just as Bonnie changes back to normal. Dr. Vegapunk continues saying that Joy Boy's defeat marked the end of the Void Century as Nosjuro jumps high into the air and unleashes a powerful slash that cuts the Labo phase in half, causing all of the captured Cypherpole agents and Seraphim to fall down, which the Marines see and try to rescue. Dr. Vegapunk then says that the world never recovered from the aftermath of the war. Dr. Vegapunk acknowledges how difficult it is to travel from place to place in the world, because the sea is treacherous and it compels people to choose to live and die at their place of birth rather than explore new cultures. But according to him, it wasn't like that 1,000 years ago. A cataclysmic ecological disaster occurred during the Void Century that sank the ancient world into the ocean, and the islands people live on are nothing more than fragments of those landmasses. Ravi, good to see you. Several people around the world don't believe Dr. Vegapunk's story, though some do consider it to be serious. Of course, Dr. Vegapunk admits it's tough to rely on his word alone, but he thinks this change in the world is what caused the Void Century, as within that time frame, the sea level rose by 200 meters. But the big question remains, how did such flooding occur? Dr. Vegapunk knows that the people's first guess is that it was a natural disaster, but in all his research he found nothing indicating that. Rather, he believes it was a man-made occurrence, and his suspicions were confirmed following the earthquake from a few days ago. Dr. Vegapunk declares that the disaster that caused the flooding was from the ancient weapons, and it still exists to this day, just waiting for its next usage. as if to say the Great War from centuries past is still ongoing. So, with the chapter notes, Vegapunk reveals several new facts about the Void Sentry. The first 20 formed a temporary alliance exactly to counter Joy Boy and the faction he led at the time. The Void Sentry effectively ended with Joy Boy's defeat. As a result of the Great War, the sea levels rose by 200 meters, and we see the images of of old ruins just submerged underwater. Before that event, the world consisted of several continents that were eventually swallowed by the rising sea, leading to the current island-based configuration that defines its modern geography. Which means that the world of One Piece had way more land and far less sea. Way more land, far less sea. But because of the events of the war between Joy Boy and the First 20, over the course of that century, the sea levels rose into what the entire world looks like now. According to Vegapunk, Vegapunk claims the ancient weapons were ultimately responsible for this marine rise. According to Vegapunk, the Great War from centuries ago has not yet ended. So, the war that pretty much caused the Void Century, like the Void Century War, it's still going. It's just, there's a new Joy Boy to lead it. A war that caused the defeat of Joy Boy and for everything about this ancient civilization to be wiped from history, that war is not over yet. These dumb world government individuals doing their best to try and keep the world down, but you can't keep information out. And even what gets me is that Mars is all like, okay, I'm just going to keep using Conqueror's Haki as I walk, and hopefully one of these Denden Mushis will stop the broadcast. And the broadcast is still playing, which means, bruh, I think it was Ozzy who said it. If this transponder is not even on Egghead and it's someplace else, then the Gorosei are just pretty much wasting their time. They're just pretty much wasting their time. Damalo Black and his crew are still alive, but imprisoned at G4. They now impersonate the Kid Pirates. Roshio is still alive. The Foxy Pirates have been reduced to only Foxy, Porsche, and Hamburg. Ah, Hamburg. Speaking of, what's up with the glasses? I was reading a synopsis. I had to get my reading glasses. I can't see nothing without my glasses. No, I can, because there ain't no lens in there. There's no lens in there. But, let's see. Foxy, Porsche, and Hamburg leaving the whereabouts of the sexy Foxy and the rest of the crew unknown. Stussy is told by Edison to escape Egghead, but she hesitates due to Vegapunk's death. Mars and Saturn activate their Conqueror's Haki to knock out nearby Denden Mushi in the Labo phase. Nus Juro slices the lower portion of the Labo phase in half. The Seraphim and hostage Cypherpole agents are freed and fall to the Fabrio phase. So what we currently have going on here, ladies and gentlemen, is Vegapunk is revealing so much. Hold on. I've always wanted to put glasses. Wait, there was no lens in them? You thought there was glasses in there? You thought there were lenses in these things? I don't wear glasses. I specifically popped them out. But yeah, the Gorosei are still trying their best to quell this broadcast from going. And mind you, they're still so nervous about all this information that Vegapunk is telling across the world. Nus Juro is trying to slice through the Labo phase. I guess he's trying to destroy the Labo phase in the hopes of maybe stopping the broadcast, but it's still going. Both Saturn and Mars are using Conquerors as they're walking through the lab, because Saturn, another thing, Saturn is confirmed to have Conquerors as well, because you see the Conqueror's Haki lightning coming off of him the same way it did Mars 2 pages ago. So Mars is confirmed to have conquerors. Saturn is confirmed to have conquerors. The only ones we haven't seen yet is Jupiter and Nusjuro. But I wouldn't be surprised if he has it as well. I would not be surprised at all. But he just slashes straight through the entire Labo phase, and also the lab underneath it as well. Makes me wonder just how strong is Nusjuro for him to be able to slice through a cloud the same way Law did, but Law did it with the help of the Ope Ope no Mi. But Nusjuro just takes a sword and just slices the entire thing in half. How strong is he? I got so many questions. But I honestly, and the thing is, we are not, it doesn't appear like we're going on break. It doesn't look like we're going on break after this. No break. So we get to hear more, potentially more from Vegapunk. I got so many questions, but thankfully we won't have to wait long. We won't have to wait long. We're not going on break, and we get to find out what happens next week. Nusjuro cut it with no name attack, just a straight slash, just a regular slash. We haven't seen a level of power like this for someone slicing through something just with pure strength alone since Mihawk. The reason why I say this is that we've seen multiple people cut through things. We've seen Zoro cut through things. But the level of power we're seeing from here is not on the level, no break and no One Piece withdrawal. I know, right? But the difference between Zoro cutting through something massive, which was basically Pika, but Pika was just a giant statue. He wasn't an entire mini island. He wasn't an entire mini island. And Mihawk, he sliced through frozen tsunami waves that greatly eclipse the size of Marineford. And he just sliced through one easily, casually. And another example of great cutting strength is S-Hawk, the Seraphim of Mihawk, slicing through the entire mountain of Amazon Lily and completely destroying it. Not many big examples of people slicing through gigantic structures on that scale. And we have Venusjuro just slicing through one easily. I don't see his sword coated in haki. I don't even see Conqueror's haki emitting from the blade. This is just his strength, which I say once again, how strong is Nusjuro for him to be able to do that? Firstly, the Joker can jump all the way into the air. The same way Kizaru was able to jump launch himself into the air in order to get inside the Frontier Dome because he was the only one who can get through it unscathed because of the Pika Pika power. Venusjuro just jumps high into the air and just slices the entire mountain off. The entire cloud off, not mountain, the entire cloud off. So I'm just curious, just how strong is he? And what is his sword? What sword are you using to do all this stuff? Not only is he ridiculously fast, being able to take out all of the pacifistas that are along the coast so fast that no one could tell who or what he was, but also just casually slash in the direction of Bonnie in an attempt to kill her and slice off, the helm and parts of the mast of the giant's ship that they were using. Again, he's a giant skeleton horse. True, but being a giant skeleton horse doesn't automatically mean that your bones is light. Because with greater size brings greater weight. But for him to jump high into the air, and he easily eclipses the size of Brook. So, saying that he's light because he's just nothing but bones? He's half horse, so it makes sense that he can jump high? Sure, but I'm saying you jumping all the way into the clouds. Okay? Y'all know how high clouds are? Matter of fact, we gonna have a science lesson today. How high are clouds? Low-level clouds are generally based at or below 65,000 feet above ground. Mid-level clouds are generally placed between 6,500 feet and 15,000 feet. So, that's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot of feet. Does Gorosei use Skywalk? I just say, I know Kaido jumped 10,000 meters. No, he dropped 10,000 meters. There's a difference. He dropped. He didn't jump up there because we kind of realized later on that he could turn into a dragon that could fly. So it's not even a matter of him jumping up 10,000 meters. He more than likely, when he was on that Sky Island, he more than likely used his own dragon form in order to get up there, and then decided to, just drop 10,000 feet, 10,000 meters down. But I said enough. I said enough. I said more than enough. We'll talk more about this chapter during this week's reflection on the 31st on Friday. We will. But yeah, that was just pure jumping from Venus. Because if you look at the page when he's jumping in the air and he slices it, he just jumps in the air. It literally has the sound effect or visual effect of him leaping high into the air. He just jumps in the air, meets the clouds in the area with the clouds, and then just slices it. The dude is up there. That might be the highest jump we ever see from any person in the entire series. With just pure strength. Because being able to fly does not count. But now I'm curious as to what Im-sama has to say. Sorry, wrong word, but then again, with the sea levels rise, how far would it have been during the Void Century? I mean, it would have been farther. It would have been farther. Now we got to think Sky Island's going to have a huge role on this story. We're going to have to see. I've drawn on for far too long because I got to get started with Jujutsu because I really want to see what happened in today's chapter of Jujutsu, given what happened in the last chapter. So, yeah, I'm done. Ladies and gentlemen, everyone who's here, if you're a new person who has watched me for the very first time, thank you. I hope you really enjoyed my, a unique dramatic reading on reading One Piece and the voices I add to it as well. Really do hope you enjoyed, and I would love to see you again. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button because like I always say in my outro, hope you all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. Like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. So have a fantastic day, and once again, as always, later peoples, on to Jujutsu!